Welcome back to my video series where I teach you how to fly an FPV, freestyle, racing, acro, drone, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to teach you how to fly it. This video is one in a series. So if it feels like you've dropped in the middle of a conversation, that's why. There is a link in the video description below to the full playlist for the whole series. And if you're looking to learn from the beginning, that's where you should start. But if you're here for the topic of today's video, then let's get into it. In this lesson, I want to highlight some of the ways that the different control inputs affect how the quadcopter moves. And specifically, what I want to show you is a difference between the yaw and the roll axis. I like to say that the yaw axis affects which way you're looking, but not which way you're moving. And we demonstrated that in a previous video by flying forward and then yawing in a circle and observing that the quadcopter was still moving in exactly the same direction that it was moving before. On the other hand, the pitch and roll axis change which way the quadcopter is moving, but they don't change which way the quadcopter is looking. So for example, if I wanted to avoid this tree, one way to do it would be to do a turn like that and a turn like that and fly around the tree, a full coordinated turn. But another thing I could do is simply roll to the left and cause the quadcopter to kind of slide to the left, fly straight, and then roll to the right and kind of slide to the right without changing the direction that I'm going, without changing the direction that I'm looking. And this is one of the beautiful things about multi-rotors is the flexibility of movement that they have. If I want to, I can fly straight through these trees, sure. Or if I want to, I can kind of turn sideways and kind of whip through them kind of backwards and just do whatever I want to do. The place where this is going to come into play for you is going to be like when you're flying down the fence line, right? But maybe you're actually just a little bit off the fence line. Okay, you're not flying directly over the top of the fence line. Maybe you're a little bit to the inside or a little bit to the outside. Well, certainly one way that you could fix that, if I was a little to the inside, would be to turn and fly towards it, and then turn and fly over the top of it. That's one way you could do it. But another way you could fix that is simply to fly parallel to the fence line and go, oh gosh, I'm a little to the inside. And then just roll to the right a little bit and slide on over without actually forcing yourself to change the direction that you're moving or looking. Well, you can always be making these little corrections. Just input a little bit of roll and come on over while still using the yaw stick to look down the fence. So here I'm going to overshoot the turn. Now I'm to the outside. Oh gosh. Well, I can just roll to the left a little bit and slide on in to where I need to be. The main thing to keep in mind as you're using this technique is that you always want to have a visual reference for where the quadcopter is moving. So if I'm looking at this barn right now and I slide on over to the left by putting in roll, I can't really see where I'm going. And oh, I just bonked into this silo. Well, in real life, that would be a crash. On the other hand, if I have set myself up in front of this barn and I can see that there's nothing there, if I was trying to go through this doorway, I could approach the doorway like so, and then I could just kind of roll to the right a little bit and roll to the left to set myself up in front of this doorway, and then pitch forward to fly through. And if I'm trying to go through this window here, I don't have to turn with the yaw axis to fly through the window. I could simply input a little bit of roll to slide to the left or slide to the right to go through the window. And you'll see experienced pilots use sort of combinations of all of these things. If I'm setting up this flight path where I want to fly through both of these windows, right, straight through, well then I'm going to need to line it up like this. If I line it up so I can see the far window through the near window, then I know I'm going to fly straight through and I'm going to hit both windows if I make a straight flight path. But if I'm looking through the front window and I can't see the rear window, or I can't see the whole rear window, I'm going to have to turn or curve, and I'm going to want to correct that. Okay, so as I approach here, what I might do is roll to the left a little bit and try to get through there without putting in too much yaw and kind of destabilizing myself and trying to do a coordinated turn. So that is isolating the roll. Oh, hello. So that is isolating the roll axis to cause the quadcopter to slide to the left or right to get it onto a line that you want it to be on, that you're just slightly not on the line. Isolating the yaw axis is usually not that useful for flying. It's more useful just for doing impressive things that look cool. You know, so like as I come through here, I could yaw around and swing through sideways or backwards, taking advantage of the fact that the yaw axis doesn't change the direction that you're moving. So if I was gonna fly straight through just like this, I could do that same thing. I could fly straight through, but I could put some yaw in, and I would know that I was still going to make that gap if I had it lined up correctly before I started putting the yaw in. So that is isolating the yaw and roll axis together to cause the quadcopter to move in, well, technically these are uncoordinated ways. Remember, a coordinated turn involves both yaw and roll to cause the quadcopter to lean into the turn, kind of like a motorcycle going through a turn. But in this case, what we're doing is we're sliding or translating the quadcopter to the side without inputting yaw, but that's fine. If that's what you need to do, then that's what you can do. That's the beauty of flying a multi-rotor. That's going to do it for this video. I want you to keep practicing the exercise I gave you in the previous video, where you're flying squares around the field following the fence. And I want you to try to be directly over the fence, directly centered over the fence. That's your challenge. I want you to start this turn, and I want you to gauge that turn so that you finish the turn directly over the fence. That's your goal. You can start early and do a big wide turn if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. Whoop, through the trees. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe not directly over that part of the fence because there's trees there. You can do those turns however you want, but try to make the turns nice and smooth. So I'd like to see a nice smooth turn like that, as opposed to a turn that's like with a lot of corrections in it. If you need to make corrections, obviously make them. And try to finish the turn right over the fence. And if you finish the turn and like you're slightly outside like this, just use the roll axis to pull yourself back over the fence and get right on top of it. If I do this turn and I come to the inside by accident, no problem. I'm just going to roll it to the left a little bit and bring it right over the fence. Okay, I will see you in the next one. There is a playlist in the video description below, and I'll put a card on screen to the playlist and the next video. See you there.